In early 1995, the stock markets were on the rise. The golden age for many investors was now. This is where David Walsh comes in, our protagonist who at the same time is an antagonist, thinks a little bit about how to make money. He was a New York broker who wanted to find a solution to his financial life, devising a plan that would make his BRE-X mining company worth millions of dollars, on the back of a few photos of a simple wedding ring, and ended up building a paper empire. A story that includes fraud, gold, death, and as a supporting player Lehman Brothers. It is important to mention that at the time there was no NI 43-101 standard of disclosure for mineral projects in Canada, reserve calculation standard. Therefore, no one bothered to check what Walsh and his associates were saying, and it was right at this point that BRE-X stock went through the roof. Let's first go back a bit to 1989, when David Walsh had founded a Canadian mining company called BRE-X Minerals Ltd, with no activity or profit that was practically worth less than $1 because it was so small. In 1993, he acquired the rights of the alleged gold mine in the middle of the jungle of Borneo, Indonesia, near the Buzang River, together with his partner, geologist John Felderhoff. In this way, they acquired the land, claiming the existence of gold. Their claims were based on the samples obtained by Michael de Guzman, also a geologist and gold prospector. The question is, how did they do it? Guzman devised a plan by faking the gold samples from scratch, first using gold shavings from his own wedding ring, then using locally sourced materials but modifying them to make them look real. With this, Guzman certified the Buzang deposit, affirming the existence of gold reserves of up to 6,500 tons, being the largest gold deposit ever recorded in the world. Although other geologists and experts doubted their samples, as the shapes were not natural and the samples were too small, they still convinced many companies of the veracity of their samples. The trick was that it could not be verified, since the rocks were already pulverized, not split in half as it is usually done for others to verify the discovery. In addition to impress the world, BRE-X built its own website to showcase its incredible stock chart, showing how the company was gaining value, including a chart of the mine's estimated lush gold resources, which would catch the attention of any high-level investors and other companies. During 1995, BRE-X shares were worth $2 Canadian, but in May 1996, the company's value peaked at $275 Canadian, valuing the company at $4.4 billion, $6 billion US. And this is what gives a great meaning to an amazing fraud that yielded multi-billion-dollar results. As a result, many of the world's largest mining companies made takeover offers, including the Indonesian government itself. On the other hand, within a few months, the large US mining company BRE-X signed former US President George Bush as an executive, who would be the person in charge of sending a letter to the Indonesian President Suharto about the BRE-X mining company. However, at the time, only Walsh knew that there were no such resources in the Indonesian jungle. Indonesian President Suharto, shortly before his fall, who was also rated the most corrupt man in the world by Transparency International, wanted his share of the cake. Knowing the vast fortune he had in his territories, he put the brakes on BRE-X permits, claiming that the company was too small. However, after receiving his share of the deal, he would withdraw his restrictions. So we can see how two parties help each other, and the gold mine that is worth so much money now keeps working and adding numbers to its stock on a continuous basis. Everything continued according to Walsh's plan, but in March 1997, another world-famous mining company, Freeport-McMoRan, already a 50% owner of BRE-X, came up with the idea of inspecting the supposed gold mine. The surprise was when on March 26, the company dismissed the whole thing by certifying that negligible amounts of gold existed in the area, even though a few weeks earlier, Walsh had declared that there would be at least 70,000 tons of gold. It was only a day later when BRE-X shares plummeted 82% on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Even the small stock exchanges in Vancouver and Alberta experienced their worst days thanks to this event. From this moment on, a new character is known, who to all this menace and force, giving the beginning of the next act that would put an end to BRE-X. The independent company, Strathcona Mineral Services, after carrying out its own inspections, wrote a report that was made public on May 6, 1997, in which it concluded this deposit, Pusong, which claimed to be the largest gold find in history, is practically a worthless piece of land in the middle of the Borneo jungle. That's when the world gets out, and BRE-X's rapid descent into the haze of the world begins. That same day, like a shooting star, BRE-X shares on the Toronto Stock Exchange plummeted 97% in just 10 minutes. What was once worth $6 billion was reduced to a scant $10 million, causing the sale of 50 million shares of the minor stock into the hands of others. In addition, the report included that the amounts of gold dust were intentionally added to Pusong samples in some clandestine laboratory, making it clear that there was a willful deceit or negligence. Even though two companies have already verified this world setup. BRE-X chief geologist and vice president John Felderoff denied any involvement in the whole scandal. Moreover, a few months earlier, the other geologist, Michael de Guzman, had apparently committed suicide by falling out of a helicopter when he was due to attend a business meeting with Freeport. Very suspicious for someone who had a life of luxury and success, wasn't it? BRE-X, being one of the largest mining companies in the world, with a huge growth in such a short period of time, was the object of impression for many investors who bought shares in the company. However, following the findings, tests and published reports, they recorded losses of $50 million from the Ontario Teachers Pension Fund and $17 million from Caisse de dépôt du placement, Canada's largest pension fund manager. After a month, the miner is facing a series of lawsuits, 8 of them by the US and 100 or so by shareholders. During July, the Wall Street Journal itself published a report stating that the lawsuits included JP Morgan and Lehman Brothers, who had recommended buying BRE-X. Without gold, there was not much to do, so in 1997, BRE-X filed for bankruptcy, cornered with lawsuits and being the sight of hundreds of people looking to him for money. Walsh fled to the Bahamas and died on June 5, 1998, due to a heart attack. It was never been clear who is really guilty or responsible for this story. Many people continue to accuse Felderoff because of his suspicious act of selling his actions before everything was discovered, even though he was found innocent by the courts. It has never been clear who is the real culprit or responsible for this fraud. Many continue to accuse Felderoff. He is a rather conspicuous suspect even though he was acquitted by the courts. Others insist on the lack of clarity and evidence of Guzman's suicide when he threw himself out of a helicopter, even though the authorities ruled it happened. In fact, unofficial sources claim to have seen him in Canada years after the scandal, but this is only speculation. The truth is that there are still many questions and few answers that following a simple wedding ring became one of the biggest scandals in history. But thanks to the collaboration of Wall Street and the discoveries in the inspections carried out by Freeport-McMoRan and Strathcona Mineral Services, the way to the truth was opened. Finally, BRE-X disappeared in 2002, leaving its mark as one of the functional mines that never had gold but was among the first and most valued in the world. If you enjoy this kind of scandals, let me know by liking this video or comment below. As well, if you want to see particular scandals tweeted, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching me, subscribe to this page and see you soon on this same channel.